We got anything good to drink in here? All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the juice. So if you guys are new to the channel, the juice is my recap video for each tournament that we fished throughout the season. And we just wrapped up REDCREST, the championship for Major League Fishing, right here on Lay Lake. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but Lay Lake is literally right there behind me. And we're gonna recap the tournament and kind of go in, give you guys details, patterns, baits, rods, reels, lines, all the juice from the tournament here on Lay Lake. The juice is presented by Fish USA, so if you guys are looking for any tackle, Fish USA is the place to get it. Direct links in the description down below to all this tackle I'm about to talk about, so if you guys want to just check the description, click those links, head right over to Fish USA. You're able to pick up the tackle that I used on Lay Lake. But if you guys are ready, let's jump in and talk about Lay Lake. All right, Lay Lake, man. It's my first REDCREST experience, so it was something to take in for sure. It was there was a lot going on, a lot of behind the scenes stuff that, you know, really nobody sees but the anglers and the families. You know, there's a bunch of meetings and video productions and parties, balls. You know, I actually had to do an Angler of the Year speech, so there was a lot going on this week at Lay Lake behind the scenes. So there was a lot of background noise to just the tournament. It wasn't just strictly focused on the tournament, but that's no excuse at all. So we get here for practice. So we get 3 full days of practice, then an off day, then the tournament begins. So we're talking 5 days before we're fishing the tournament, we start practice. And you know, the lake was changing every single day. So there was a bunch of rain like a day or 2 days before practice started, caused the lake level to rise a little bit, and a bunch of current. You know, Lay Lake is an interesting lake because it has a dam on both ends, so there's not really like a river end. You know, it goes all the way up to a dam, and then there's a dam at the bottom end. So they can let water in and let water out, or vice versa. So it changes the water conditions constantly. So, you know, Lay Lake's definitely a lake that's all about making adjustments. So in practice, you know, they were running a lot of current to get all that excess water out of the lake. And it kind of positioned the bait fish off of the main lake, kind of pushed it to the shorelines in little current breaks, to the mouth of the pockets, even into some of the creeks and pockets. And the fish kind of followed them in there. And you know, I had a pretty good practice. I found a lot of fish in those pockets and whatnot, but I kind of knew in the back of my mind that, you know, as that current died down, those fish were going to move. And that's exactly what happened, is those fish were constantly moving around. As the current changed, you know, they would move more towards the main river or the main lake. And then, you know, the bait fish was constantly getting blown around, whether it be by the wind or the lack of current. They would swim more out towards the main river, and those bass just followed suit. So, you know, it was a frustrating tournament for me on that side of things because, you know, I fished all the areas where the top finishers were. You know, I practiced there. I knew the fish were there. Even the area where Dustin Connell ends up winning the tournament, I literally practiced there and fished there in the tournament, and it just the timing wasn't right. You know, that was the whole thing about Lay Lake, was timing. Just colliding with when those bass swam in there, when the bait fish swam in there, all those sort of things. But it was a great learning experience for me. I learned a bunch about Lay Lake and the whole Coosa River chain, on how the fish move. I learned a lot about spotted bass. So, you know, every time you have a tougher tournament, you know, I say a tougher tournament, I finished 21st place. I was the first man out of making the knockout round, but to my standards, it was a tougher tournament. So I'm not happy with it, but like I said, I learned a bunch from it, and hopefully we can take that information to the future. All right, so as far as baits, you know, I focused on the lower end of the lake. So pretty much from Spring Creek to the dam, I think, is the section of the lake that I fished in. You know, I might have ran up like a little bit, but the majority of the fish were from Spring Creek to the dam, and especially down from the Narrows to the dam. You know, that's where the bulk of the damage went down. And for me, it was all about the good old jig head minnow, the Damiki rig, the Yamamoto scope shad. This is the 3-inch scope shad, and Becker's grape juice. Can't beat that color. Anytime they're feeding on those little thread fin, alewives, any sort of little bait fish, that bait right there gets it done. So I was throwing it really on an 1/8 ounce Queen's tackle ball head. You guys see me use this jig head all the time, tying the loop knot, of course. And I was beefed up my line a little bit just because the water was a little stained with all that rain. So I didn't think I needed a super light line, so I went with 10-pound Seaguar Tatsu, and then down to the, this is actually the brand new Seaguar braid that'll be released this week. So you guys are gonna wanna check that stuff out. That's coming soon. But this is literally what caught the bulk of the fish for me. You know, is just targeting those spotted bass that were roaming around that bait fish. Now, I did catch a few fish off of the dam, so I ran all the way down to the Lay Lake Dam, and that's when I picked up this little guy right here. It's just a little soft plastic jerk bait. You guys have seen me throw this rig before on like Lake Murray. We actually have a video coming out on this rig right here. You're gonna wanna check that out for sure. But this is just my little rig. You know, we got a little bit of weight in there on this little soft plastic jerk bait, and then add a little stinger treble hook just in case those fish swipe at it and don't eat it. But this was for that dam. You know, those fish were sitting right up against that wall, so I wanted a bait that wasn't going to sink real fast and I could kind of twitch and keep it up on that surface. So caught a couple key fish on that was key to the week. But really, that's the 2 baits that caught every bass for me throughout the week. You know, in practice, I threw a bunch of different things. I threw a swim jig around in some of the grass and had a few bites on that. But really, I was pretty committed to the Damiki rig, and I mean, it was the right choice and the right pattern. You know, that ultimately that's what won the tournament. I just kind of made some bad decisions on timing, and that's what happens. That's tournament fishing, but it's all good. Like I said, we learned a bunch from it, and I'm excited to get on to the next one. So appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you learned something. Leave me those likes and comments down below. Don't forget, hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time.